Hey guys, it's Lo. I am so excited to be working on an amazing project that is very realistic to your in-salon experience, dealing with clients that have pre-existing color in their hair that want a beautiful dimensional blonding service. So I have beautiful Kaylee here. She has hair color that's been in her hair for the past, I don't know, what did we say it was like 2 months ago. So we have Demi-permanent hair color that has been in her hair for 2 months. Realistically, when we're approaching her hair color, we have to take that into consideration because it is a variable that we cannot foresee until we're in the middle of the service. So with that being said, it's super important to communicate the possibilities and to know where your skill is at relative to the job that you're trying to accomplish. So we have a pretty tall order with our blonding today. So what I want to do is work you through my approach and why based on this variable in her hair. Let's get started. Here we're taking a look at our beautiful model's natural base, and what we've learned is that she has pre-existing color through the ends. This is definitely gonna give us a component during our blonding session. So what I'd like to do is evaluate the difference of her natural hair versus the stain and pigment left in her old pre-existing color. This is going to need to be accounted for as we blonde her, and also for your clients at home, it's going to be a big part of your consultation as well, because we want to set up proper expectations for clients that have any type of permanent or demi-permanent pre-existing tones in their hair. What I'd like to suggest for her is that we do a combination of balayage and foils. The foils are going to guarantee us that we will have a little bit more lift than, a typical balayage. And the reason that we're even doing a balayage at all is to make sure that we get beautiful, solid coverage throughout the body of her hair. So to get this started, I'm going to be sectioning the crown of her hair away. This is gonna allow me to focus the foils in the front and along the fringe. This will kind of give us a guarantee that it's gonna lift and there's gonna be some impact, even though there is that question mark that the ends of the hair may drag and be a little bit warmer, a little bit deeper than her virgin hair at the root. So this is our plan, and I would like to work through that element before going into the back and crown of her hair. So we're gonna start by foiling this whole panel of her face frame, and this is again going to guarantee us at least a couple shades lighter lift. So here we're using blue powder lightener with 30 volume, and I'm just feathering it up into the hairline. What I'd like to do is, as I'm foiling at a diagonal, I'd like to take a look at what hair is left out in between so that I can tip that out. Because we want a bold, bright money piece area that's gonna give us a nice pop. And that's, again, that guarantee that it's going to have a little bit more lift than the balayage that we're gonna do the rest of the hair with. So before I keep moving forward with the foils, I'm going to tease and tip out simultaneously what's hanging out in between what I've just done. So that way that this part of her hair starts to lift at the same time as this. That's just gonna keep us really, really balanced, and I'm not waiting extra long to get that lift. For this bang area, I'd like to move out of a weave into a slice just because I really want that impact there. And just above it, I'll do a weave. Before I pick up this section, I'm just gonna look at what the section behind it is looking like. because I want to make sure that everything in these sections is fluid. We're gonna wanna pick up this section and make sure that it ties into everything that we've done just before it. So just to keep it clean, I'm gonna do 2 little subsections. So when you have color in the ends, it's really important and crucial that you keep an eye on your saturation, because you don't want to have a gap between the saturation here in the mid shaft with the pre-existing color. You need that to be super moisturized and saturated. So this is a really good starting point, and typically I would just go in and mirror the other side right away with the foil placement. But before I do that, I want to look at what I am trying to create with the foils, because obviously we know with foil placement you're gonna get a couple levels lighter of lift. So I'm thinking about picking up a couple pieces that I really want to emphasize here while I'm on this side of the head, and then mirror it on the other side just as a complete thought. So I'm thinking about taking these layers where they tend to kind of, swing back, and do 3 teasy pieces, so that way I know where I'm headed when I approach the other side of her head. I really like how this is looking, and all of this in the future is going to be balayaged in between. So before I get any further, let's create this whole entire placement on the left side of Keely's head. So this is how the foils have come out, and I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to just speak about the color that's existing in her hair. This is my security blanket. So anytime you're working on a client that has color existing, before jumping into a balayage, you want to consider using the foils as your extra precaution. You're gonna get at least a couple levels of lift here. So I feel secure that we're gonna leave this salon visit with some poppy impact. But what I can also move into is addressing the back of her hair. She still has so much hair to work with. I'm gonna flip these little poppy pieces aside. And all of this is like a whole nother blonding session. So how I can address this is I can balayage this whole back ponytail and just make sure that I start to remove the color and set her up for future blonding appointments. So what we would discuss in real life in the salon setting is that we will be revealing warmth in this case scenario and causing a lot of overall lift so that we can reach that goal. So now I have all this beautiful thick hair to work with, and my objective is to balayage it from the nape working up towards the crown. And how I would prepare her expectations is letting her know that this is where we'll be lifting out the color. Most likely it'll reveal some warmth, but ultimately it'll help us to break up all that demi-permanent hair color from the past, working us to an overall lighter look within the next 2 to 3 sessions. Okay, for this area of the head, I'm going to have my beautiful assistant help me drop down each section so that it's neat, clean, and time efficient. I'm taking a good 1/2 inch section and I'm just laying the 30 volume through the mid shaft first, and I'm feathering it up through the top, not near the root at all, but top of the midsection, And then as I bring the product down, I'm saturating the last 6 inches of each section. And it's very important to double check the underneath of each section. I like to just pop up each little section and make sure it's nice and even and softened and diffused. One of the reasons I love the Blue Powder Lightener so much is that it really has a dreamy viscosity, meaning I can foil with it, I can paint with it. Not only does it have such a great texture and feel, it lays on the hair so beautifully, and it's powerful enough to lift and neutralize. So it's just like my go-to everyday blonding choice. This is our whole application. And you can see it's pretty full on, like every hair is touched, but we've strategically placed all these foils, just to recap, in the front hairline because we want that guaranteed lift. As I'm looking at her in front of me, I can see that her hair is lifting despite the color history that we're looking at, which is a really good indicator that we will get very close to our goal. I would still recommend multiple sessions for most clients that want a transformation, just because you can see how involved these type of applications look. But if you want a little sneak peek of how she's lifting, it's pretty promising. This is why I love the Blue Powder Lightener so much. It just gets the job done and I can always count on it. Now that we've completed this intensive blonding technique, I like to check in on her color and how it's progressing every 10 to 15 minutes. This lets me know how her hair is able to lift, and I can step in at any time to adjust anything needed. I won't let her process over 45 minutes. That's standard for any blonding service I'm providing, but staying with her and opening up her foils gives me the opportunity to have consistency and control over the outcome. Here is our beautiful pre-toned hair. Well, actually it's partially toned because what we did was we rinsed out all of the back quadrants that were balayaged, and we decided it would be so beautiful to rapid tone with Rapid Toner SV, which stands for Silver Violet. This is a perfect choice because she had a lot of gold caramel pieces in her hair, and the Silver Violet is a perfect choice to neutralize without darkening her ends. And then after that sat in for about 10-15 minutes, we then rinsed out all the foil pieces, which give us such a beautiful contrast. So now we're gonna go ahead and see this blend. I shadow root all of my clients just because it just ensures a nice blend. So we've pre-selected a 5N with 1/3 6A just for a little steeliness to give a natural smokiness to the root. And then we're gonna do an all over glaze of the back with 9PV and the front with a little touch of gold beige. Beautiful. So now we're gonna start to work on the sides, and for that I'm gonna start in verticals and fold each section back. We're looking at a really clean lift here, and there's just a subtle bit of gold towards the ends. So I'm gonna take my 9PV and work through only where I see the gold, and I'm gonna give it a chance to tone and move on to the next side. I don't want to turn any paler tones in her money piece area silvery or violet, so I'm just going to leave them out for the moment. Hit these little baby hairline pieces. This is the very last thing I like to shadow. And then I'm going to take my tiny little bowl of gold GB and get these nice bright pieces. I think it'll just integrate all the tones together and look super beautiful. Now that we've applied her shadow root, the back formula, and the front details, I'm going to watch her tone develop through the next 5 to 10 minutes. And again, that's how I can control my results and make sure that nothing gets overtoned or overlooked. beautiful Haley's results with our blonding session today. And the blue powder seriously never fails to impress me because we're able to totally break through all of that old color. Even though I was a little bit skeptical, knowing that she had some darker color history in there, it really did the job. And if you look at our placement, the foils that we were able to strategically place really popped and made this look come together. And the balayage that we were able to do throughout the whole circumference of her hair was able to be gorgeously neutralized with the rapid toners. And just to recap, we used rapid toner SV to neutralize the base, 9 PV for all of the beautiful beige pops, and we did a shadow root of 5N plus 6A just to bring this whole look together, and I hope you love it. This is so fun to create. Subscribe to Kenra Professional on YouTube to watch more amazing artists and see more classes from me.